The author curled his fingers in contemplation, as he is oft to do when dealing with these circumstances. He gives a deep, regretful sigh as he continues to write. It had happened, of course, the first casualty. Not unexpected or even that uncommon. It wasn't up to him whether or not he had lived, of course. It never was. Or at least it shouldn't be. But perhaps, just this once, he might nudge it a little. Introduce a little bit of panicked memories and anxiety rather than the aura of peace in the after. He normally just didn't record what happened afterwards, it kept him fresher that way. After all, you can't wander off the side if the words don't reach the end of the page. Right? No matter. That should do it. He should want to live now, and by the contract of old, that is all it would take, this time at least. The author breathes heavily, looking at the embers of the firelight behind him. The flickering flames and cracking of wood usually calmed him, but he couldn't help but feel stressed. He had, of course, made a mistake. It was his fault ultimately. He stood up and walked out into the other room. Down a series of halls, he arrived at the door that he knew he would find here. It opened slowly, with the heavy creaking of solid oak echoing in this dim place. On the ground was the circle, made of blood and ink. The 9 sigils with the 3 binding principles were mostly intact. The large, silver-like steel wedges buried into the stone appeared to be functioning as normal. Upon first glance, it would be fine. And yet, he took a lantern off a nearby table, kept specifically for this purpose, and lit it. The flickering lamplight revealed something he had worried might be the case. 3 bars, 3 sigils were cracked. From the cracks, he could see the thin miasma leaking into the world. Like a thick, viscous oil, it seemed to draw in the light. The liquid leaked drop by drop and fell upon the ground and immediately evaporated. He pondered, but just nodded. It was worrying, of course. It always was. He eventually returned to his desk, each step echoing in the dark hallways. What would he do? He used to keep a tally of different combinations, but now he was afraid he too was sinking into indifference. He would have had to record the developments in the palace later, but for now, he would focus on the primary group. So, one was dead, at least for now, and another is bound to the spirit of fire, set to be released when the tea quenches the flame. It was bound originally in a bottle of special make, a consequence of a ring given to a thief. Tragedy follows it, given its now distorted nature. At last, another thing comes full circle. Another falls into their hands while his macabre fortune rots in the emerald basement. That was a good development. The author smiles contentedly. The cost was high, true, but nothing that couldn't be regained. At least he was stopped early this time, and there was not a repeat of the Iron Fist tragedy. The author paused, deep in thought. Now, there was an idea.